Okay, that's fine. Okay. See, we have a door on it. Okay, let's leave it. Let's leave it. It's a bit hung. It has to go down small. This is the hat.
And if you look at the surface, it's not that smooth because it's light, they will not fall. So that's why it's like this. And this is the javelin. You see that on the rail. On the top. And
that's discus again.
Yes, this is the discus and the hammer. The hammer and the discus, because of the intensity and the weight, we have what they call the cage and the net. This is where the cage will be, and the net. So in case you throw, out here will not injure anybody.
For safety.
So, yes, and the cage has a closure that comes here. When you are throwing, if you are left thrower, they open the cage up to this point, this one point here. So the maximum you go is here. Not everybody. So if you are a right thrower, here will be the cage. Here. That's for the discus. But for the hammer, because the hammer sector and the shot put are the same, we have a small board that will cover and cut off that distance. Okay. We'll put it on that facility. It's white.
Most athletes is the facility and the equipment. What we have is comparable.
This will be for the delegates every night. That's we're using the other school. But we said after the festival,
From what we have seen here today, it is very clear that this is a world-class facility that is ready to host a world-class sporting event. You can see every sport that's listed for the festival has been provided for, and not just in name, we have tried to ensure that the quality of the infrastructure for that particular sport is world class. Whether it's javelin, it's discus, whether it's gymnastics, weightlifting, or tennis, or the squash courts as you have seen. I mean, these are all facilities that match whatever you have anywhere in the world. So we are ready. The infrastructure is ready. The accommodation is ready. All we need just the funding to host and feed and move the athletes around when they come in.
Thank you. Mr. Minister, sir.
The 24th March 2021. My name is Habiba Oyege Oyarekwa, your regular host on the program. Started and staged in 1973 at the National Stadium, Surulere, Lagos. The game was originally conceived as a unifying tool with the main purpose of promoting peace and cultural affiliation in Nigeria after the Nigerian Civil War in 1970. Over the years, the purpose and relevance of the games have been debated and evolved, but one thing remains constant. It is loved by athletes. But there is always uncertainty over the festival. The dates are not cast in stone. And political climate, among other factors, clearly dictates how and when it holds. If it had been consistent, we would have been hosting the 24th edition instead of the 20th. The festival was missed in 1983, 1987, 1993, 1995, 2014, and 2016. The current festival has been postponed so much that the athletes have been demoralized. States have cancelled several campaigns, lost income while coaches are unable to plan to prepare their athletes. All these and more adversely affect the growth and marketability of the event. While it is acknowledged that the pandemic played a role in the postponement, it is a general theme for sports in our country, Nigeria. Nigeria has no fixed calendar. We cannot plan or prepare adequately for events. Athletes, coaches, media, and marketers are often left in the realm of the unknown. We set dates arbitrarily, and events may not have start dates till a few days to its commencement. If we look at sporting calendars worldwide, it is organized and fixed. In football, national leagues know their start and end dates, sometimes up to 4 years in advance. In tennis, the Grand Slams have their fixed days long before the previous editions end. All the smaller competitions have their weeks of the year taken, and thus sometimes it is very difficult to introduce new events because the whole weeks of the competitive season have been taken. Now, let's come down to Nigeria and zero in on Calabar. Our hosting of the 19th National Sports Festival will be significant as our beautiful and historic city of Calabar, rich in heritage and hospitality, and the first capital of our great nation, plays host to all Nigerian athletes from all over the world, professional and amateur alike, in the year of our country's centenary celebrations. Those were the words of former governor of Cross River State, Liel Imoke, while unveiling the National Sports Festival logo in 2014. The governor was so optimistic when he declared that his administration would host a National Sports Festival that would be different from others since the inception of the Games in 1973. Imoke had fixed November 2014 for the fiesta, which he tagged the Centenary Games to commemorate Nigeria's 100 years. It was also tagged Paradise Games. The governor had wanted to host the 19th National Sports Festival in 2014 as a way of crowning his efforts as the most sports-loving governor of the era. To show his readiness for the games, Imoke invited people from far and near to witness the unveiling of the festival mascot in a ceremony held at the Venetian Arena in Calabar, the state capital. The mascot Bamba, according to Imoke, is a gorilla from the rainforest of Boki, a landlocked area surrounded by tourism destination centers like the Obudu, Ikom, and Ogoja in Cross River states. The unveiling in mid-2014 was a gathering of past heroes, especially those who made Cross River State proud in international sporting events like the Olympics, Commonwealth Games, and the World Football Tournaments. However, several years down the line, the wait for Bamba the gorilla to appear from the rainforest of Boki is stranded in mystery, as the 19th National Sports Festival suffered series of postponement. Since the commencement of the National Sports Festival in 1973, Cross River has never hosted the event. Only 2 states in the South-South, Edo and Rivers, have played host to the festival, while the city of Benin was venue during Bende 81, and of course in 2002 when we had Edo 2002. Port Harcourt hosted Rivers 88 and Garden City 2011. One state in the southeast, Imo, hosted the fiesta in 1998. In the southwest, Lagos hosted the festival 4 times, 1973, 1975, 1989, and 2012. Just as Oyo State hosted Oluyole 79 edition. Ogun State played host to Gateway 2006. In the North Central, Kwara State hosted the fiesta in 1985, while Benue played host to Makurdi 96 edition. Kaduna in the Northwest hosted it twice in 1977 and 2009. While Bauchi in Northeast has equally played host to the festival on 2 occasions, 1991 and of course in the year 2000. The Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, was picked as venue in 2004, a year after Abuja National Stadium played host to Koja 2003 All African Games. We'll take a short break now. When we come back, we'll continue with the rundown. Stay with us.
Development decided to use
facilities that match whatever you have anywhere in the world. So we are ready. The infrastructure is ready. The accommodation is ready. All we need just the funding to host and feed and move the athletes around when they come in.
Thank you. Mr. Minister, sir, having inspected these facilities, are there any areas you want to improve on?
Well, I think that I could not ask for more. Our sportsmen and women could not ask for a better facility than what we have here at the Samuel Ogbomudia Stadium in Edo State. What excites most athletes is the facility and the equipment. What we have here is comparable to anyone you can find in the world, global standard. And what we've seen here is a revamp that we've never seen before of a sporting facility in this country. We have a model here. It sets the standard. It raises the bar for any other state that wants to revamp its sporting facilities. So I'm satisfied with what I've seen here today. Most of our sportsmen and women will be happy to compete here. They will sell world records. They will set new PBs, personal best records, and I think Edo is ready.
So beyond the facility just expected, the governor made mention of the pregnancy sponsor. Is the federal government already ready to sponsor? Is the finances ready?
The word is not sponsor. We have spoken about the cost implication of postponements, and I said it, whether it's a sporting event, even if it's a wedding or your birthday party, once you postpone, there are cost implications. More so when it's just a massive event that we've planned. It's taken almost 2 years to prepare for this. We have written, like I said, financial support will come from federal government. The processes are taking place because there are processes that must go through, and we hope that all of this will come in time now that we've set a date for it. So we're confident.
Very well, Honorable Business.
Okay, DG, sir.
The National Sports Festival, which is held biannually, The National Sports Festival, which is held biannually to discover talents for international and continental competition, has suffered many postponements in the past. After the 81 edition of the festival in Benin City, the fiesta suffered its first postponement in 1983 due to what sports ministry officials described then as unclear political atmosphere after the military coup of General Muhammadu Buhari. It didn't hold in 1983 as scheduled, and also there was no festival in 1984. After Kwara 85, the festival did not hold as scheduled in 1987. Rather, it took place in 1988 in Port Harcourt. To bridge the gap, Lagos offered to host the fiesta the following year, 1989. After Bauchi 91 edition, which was nearly marred by religious violence, the National Sports Festival suffered its worst postponement. It didn't hold in 1993, 1994, and of course, 1995. After Makurdi 96, there was stability as the festival was hosted biannually from Imo 98 to Bauchi 2000, Edo 2002, Abuja 2004 to Gateway 2006. The only postponement was the one-year gap solicited by Kaduna State. Instead of hosting the event in 2008, the Kada Games was held in 2009. Rivers State hosted 2011, while Lagos played host in 2012, just 1 year interval to honor the agreement it entered with the sports ministry during the bidding process in Kaduna. Cross River won the bid to host the 2014 games during the ECO 2012 festival in Lagos. And of course, the centenary games, which former Governor Imoke promised, would have been a culmination of all efforts towards re-establishing Calabar as a true home of the Nigerian sports, was indeed a mirage. After 6 years of being in the limbo, the biennial National Sports Festival, NSF, was back on track with its 19th edition hosted successfully in Abuja in 2018. Delta came first with 163 gold medals, 88 silver medals, and of course 101 bronze medals. Rivers came second with 69 gold, 58 silver, and 67 bronze medals. Edo came third with 47 gold medals, 41 silver medals, and 53 bronze medals. Nigerian youths are coming to Edo State to experience a passionate and vibrant exhibition of hospitality, our heritage, and the generous spirit of the people, of the heartbeat of the nation. So on today's edition of the program, the second segment, we are going to be having a chat with a member of the LOC of the National Sports Festival tagged Edo 2020. He is a medical doctor. He attended the prestigious King's College in Lagos, and for his secondary school education at the University of Lagos for his medical training. An avid sports lover, he is a member of the National Sports Medicine Association, and was medical officer attached to the under-21 national football team between 1986 and 1987. He was vice chairman of the Lagos State Football Association between 1999 and the year 2004, and the vice chairman of Lagos State Badminton Association between 1993 and 1994. A one-time special advisor to Honorable Minister of Sports, Honorable Issa Biu, between 2010 and 2011. He was the Director of Sports in the Lagos State Sports Council and once served as the Executive Chairman of the Lagos State Sports Commission. And of course, he is the CEO of Sports Connect Consultancy Limited, a sports strategic consulting outfit. He is no other than Dr. Kweku Adedayo Tando. Sir, you are welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Habiba. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm sure you listened to the intro and the nitty-gritty and the politics that has surrounded the National Sports Festival since its inception in 1973. What do you have to comment on that?
Yes, like you rightly said, we have not been able to follow the 2-year gap between festivals for so many reasons. Most notably, the interregnum between 2012 and 2018, when Cross River State was expected to have hosted, but for one reason or the other, they could not. The effect of this, if you may say, is if we do not have a national sporting calendar that athletes, sports commissions, the ministries can plan with, it makes it difficult for you to have a concise sports development program. So I think for us, the earlier we're able to get it right in terms of the national sporting calendar. And the national sporting calendar does not just involve the National Sports Festival. Each of our national federations must have their annual calendar, be it athletics, boxing, swimming, and so on and so forth. These are programs that the state associations or the state sports commissions can now dovetail their own programs into. And so you have a program that works from the grassroots, from the local governments to the state level, from the state level to the national level. It's only then that you can begin to picture a podium or a grass to podium cycle that we have in sports. It's usually agreed that you have an 8-year cycle for grass to podium in developing an athlete. But if you don't have a regular competition calendar that you use to assess your various developmental strategies in your states, then it makes development a bit awkward.
Now, while I read out a bit of your CV, it said you were a one-time director of sports in Lagos State Sports Council. How it is done over there?
Yes, I think in Lagos we've been quite lucky to have had administrations, especially since 1999, that have placed an interest in sports and sports development, right from Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu to Babatunde Raji Fashola, Governor Akinwumi Ambode, and Governor Jide Sanwo-Olu. There has been a determined effort to have continuity in the plans for sports in the state. So when I was Director of Sports, for example, that was under the tenure of Governor Babatunde Fashola. And of course, you know that he himself is an avid sportsman, a footballer. And so it was not difficult for us to put our plans and our development programs before him, because he understood what sports development was. We did quite a bit in terms of putting structures in place for sports development in Lagos at that time. I had a commissioner that also understood the basics of sports, Barrister Enito Oshodi. He was the commissioner of sports at the time. And we were able to have a calendar in Lagos State then that started from the various activities of the state sports associations. And this helped us a lot in our school sports policy, for example, which was our focus. And we saw the benefits of this at the National Youth Games, at the National School Sports Festival, when Lagos State, at those youth events, did very, very well. At most of the time, we were either first or second, with Cross River State, who also had a very excellent school sports development program at the time. So it's something that we now continued into when the Sports Commission was started in Lagos and we became a Sports Commission. It allowed us to be a bit more professional in putting all these structures in place.
Okay, now, having worked with the Lagos State Sports Commission, and also you served as the special advisor to Honorable Minister of Sports, as Honorable Issa Biu, would you compare them to Edo State now, because you are a consultant?
Yeah.
Now, how would you rate the sporting arena?
Yeah.
Yes, in Edo State.
It's exciting because
Governor Obaseki and his deputy, Philip Shaibu.
It's quite exciting because, like you recall, when you were going through the history of the National Sports Festival, in those days, Bendel State, Edo State were at the top. And that's because they had consistent developmental programs in sports right from the days of General Samuel Ogbemudia and so on. Yeah. But there was a point where there was a disconnect, and you could see that in the dropping performances of Edo State as in sports. But it's very interesting that immediately Governor Obaseki came in 2016, if I remember clearly. One of the first things he did then was to organize a stakeholder sports summit, because one of the things he had determined to do was to bring Edo State back into sports. And I remember I was
wanted us to reclaim
the lost glory in sports, and I was actually one of the presenters at that sports summit in 2016, and that's when we introduced the idea of the Sports Commission coming into Edo State, because that's the way sports development could grow. And not too long after that, a panel was set up to look into the formation of the Edo State Sports Commission. I also served on that panel. It was headed by His Excellency the Deputy Governor of Edo State, who himself is an avid sports lover. Not just a sports lover, he's a sportsman himself. So from then on, that was in 2017 when that panel came up, and then at the end of it, we recommended the conversion of the Sports Council into a Sports Commission. In 2018, Governor Obaseki put up an executive order establishing the Sports Commission. So you can see that this administration has a drive and a determination to reclaim the lost glory in sports. And it's not just by talking. If you go around Edo State now, especially in Benin, and you see the excellent sporting infrastructure that has been put up in the state, honestly, it's something that is highly commendable. The new Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium has been so expanded that now you have like about 19 sports that can actually take place in the complex. It's now more like a complex than a stadium, and other facilities in schools. And one other thing I noticed, which is commendable as well, is that many of those facilities that the state government is putting up in sports have been put up in schools, in strategic places where the community will be able to have access to them and be able to use them. The benefits of that is definitely immeasurable.
Now, you're a medical doctor, and one of the conditions for participating in EDO 2020 is that all the athletes coming into Edo State should be vaccinated 12 days before coming for the event.
Yes.
Have you been vaccinated?
Oh, yes, I have. I happen to be also serving on the Edo State COVID task force team. So as frontline workers, so to speak, the members of the task force have been vaccinated. So I received my vaccination, I think, about a week ago, on the rollout day, last week, Monday.
And how did you feel?
Excellent. I didn't have any side effects at all. And we have been propagating this so that more people will begin to take the vaccine.
So what is the guarantee that everybody coming for that event would have received their vaccination?
Well, it's a recommendation that the PTF and the NCDC...
Recommendation or a condition?
It's, let me put it this way, it's a guideline. And I'll explain why I said so. There's some states that have not yet received their vaccines. There's some states that have not actually started the vaccination rollout. But why I said it's a guideline is because even the 12 days we're talking about was determined because after you take the vaccine, for it to hit maximum efficacy, it takes effect maybe about 2 weeks after the first dose. The maximum is after the second dose, but you begin to have coverage after about 2 weeks of the first. So that's why it was recommended that 10 to 12 days before the games. But why I said it's a guideline is that it does not take away the condition, and this is the condition, that you must do a PCR test 72 hours before you come to Edo State. That is the one that is a condition, and without that, athletes will not be allowed into the games village, because that's the one that guarantees that as you're coming in, you are COVID-19 negative.
And how are you going to be able to determine that those PCR tests are valid?
First thing that has been done is that the PTF and the NCDC have said that in every state, those PCR tests for the games will be done in accredited laboratories. They would come with their certificates that can easily be verified by the PTF and the NCDC, who will also be here on ground before the athletes arrive on the 2nd of April.
Now, what is the level of preparedness for the sports festival, health-wise?
Yeah, it's quite interesting because I know that Edo State has had in place an excellent COVID response even since the pandemic started a year ago. I'm very much aware that the NCDC uses the Edo State model as a template, even with other states, in assessing what the state has done. So apart from what is already in place for COVID-19 response in the state, there will be additional measures for the festival. We're going to ensure that the Games Village maintains a sort of bubble. We may not be able to achieve a full biosafety bubble where you do not have interaction outside of those that are coming in, but because of what has been in place, the non-pharmacological interventions, your use of face masks, sanitizers, washing of hands and so on, all those things will still be in place. And of course, the PTF and the NCDs have also recommended that we would have a low volume of spectatorship at the events. So in terms of preparedness, because the state has been active in its response to the COVID-19 pandemic, we will just maybe take it up a notch and continue the work. Already I'm aware, because like I said, I'm also on the COVID-19 task force, that the COVID-19 aspect of the NSF preparations for the state is already being handled, and whatsoever logistics required are already being prepared for His Excellency Mr. Governor's approval.
All right, if you're just joining us, we're chatting with Dr. Kweku Adedayo Tando. He's a consultant to the local organizing committee of EDO 2020. Please stay with us. We'll take a short break.
That's fine. Okay. See, we have a door on it. Okay, let's leave it. Let's leave it. It's a bit hung. It has to go down small.
April to 14 April 2021. President Muhammadu Buhari.
You are welcome, National Sports Festival.
EDO 2020. Here comes the sports extravaganza you have been waiting for. The 20th edition of the National Sports Festival. This is going to be the thrill of the decade as hundreds of youths across the 35 states in Nigeria, including the FCT, converge on the ancient city of Benin to showcase their talents in the various sporting events: athletics, football, volleyball, basketball, swimming, wrestling, boxing, hockey, cycling, golf, weightlifting, and many more. Date 2nd April to 14th April 2021. President Muhammadu Buhari will virtually declare the Sports Fiesta open on April 6, 2021. Main venue is the Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium, Benin City. Events will also hold at other centers across the state. Spectators and officials are expected to comply with the COVID-19 protocols. Edo State is ready to be a good host. Be part of this historic event. Signed, Media and Communications Subcommittee.
You are welcome, National Sports Festival, EDO 2020.
Here comes the sports extravaganza you have been waiting for. The 20th edition of the National Sports Festival. This is going to be the thrill of the decade as hundreds of youths across the 35 states in Nigeria, including the FCT, converge on the ancient city of Benin to showcase their talents in the various sporting events: athletics, football, volleyball, basketball, swimming, wrestling, boxing, hockey, cycling, golf, weightlifting, and many more. Date 2nd April to 14th April 2021. President Muhammadu Buhari will virtually declare the Sports Fiesta open on April 6, 2021. Main venue is the Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium, Benin City. Events will also hold at other centers across the state. Spectators and officials are expected to comply with the COVID-19 protocols. Edo State is ready to be a good host. Be part of this historic event. Signed, Media and Communications Subcommittee.
You're welcome back to the program, and Dr. Kweku Adedayo Tando is still with us in the studio. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much, Abiba.
Despite a series of meetings going on to ensure that we are fully prepared to host the nation in Edo State come 2nd April?
Yes, 2nd April.
Okay. Now, the festival is going on despite the disruptions from the coronavirus pandemic. Are we sure of the safety of these athletes despite the fact that they'll be coming with their official certificates and all that?
Well, in terms of that, we can only follow the guidelines. And we must recognize that every sector has opened up in spite of the pandemic. And so the sports sector too has found a way to open up. And that's why, for example, you could have the Australian Open that held last month. Over 30,000 spectators attended the Australian Open. The Olympics will be taking place in July. You're going to have possibly the same number of athletes gathering in Tokyo. So sports had to find a way of opening up. And that had to be done following protocols that will ensure safety of both the athletes and the officials. And the National Sports Festival, under the headship of the Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports, with the support of the PTF and the NCDC, have put up the COVID-19 protocols as well. So what it means, therefore, is if we abide with these protocols, to a major extent, athletes and officials that come to the festival would be safe. So what the state is doing now, in terms of we as the host state, is to make sure that we provide everything that is encapsulated in the COVID-19 protocols. And the state has been doing that, and we have even continued to do that. So we have no doubts that we can operate the National Sports Festival under a safe environment. And if I can even quickly say, I think about a month ago in Abuja, the paramilitary games took place in Abuja, and there was a large gathering of people, and we have not heard that there was any mishap in terms of, because the COVID-19 protocols were adhered to, and we intend to adhere to them throughout the National Sports Festival in Edo State.
I want us to come back to this COVID-19 vaccination. Now, is it possible for athletes to receive on-the-spot vaccination when they come? Most especially those coming from the states that have not yet gotten the vaccine.
Well, on-the-spot vaccination, when they arrive, will not offer any coverage and protection to the athletes, because like I explained earlier, it takes about 2 weeks for it to become effective. So if you take the vaccination today and you're already in the Games Village today, it does not offer any protection for you and for those that will come in contact with you. And that's why the advice has been that you should take it at least 10 days before you leave your state, so that you can have some protection for yourself. And then the PCR test, which is compulsory for every athlete and official that goes into the Games Village, is the one that needs to be done 72 hours before you come. Now, what the NCDC has also said is that on arrival in Benin, because anything could have happened in 72 hours in terms of contact with anyone that may have the virus. Don't forget, some states are traveling long distances by road. They will definitely interact with people on the way. The NCDC is making arrangements to have an RDT test for every athlete as they arrive in Benin on that day. The RDT test, it's also a PCR antigen, it's an antigen-based RDT test, rapid diagnostic test, that the results are out in 15 minutes. So if, for example, you arrive, they do an RDT test, and it turns out positive, that athlete is immediately taken to our lab to do a PCR confirmatory test. Of course, the athlete will be isolated from that time on until the result of the PCR confirmatory test comes out. So that RDT test on arrival in Benin is very, very important. And we have had the support of the federal government, that the NCDC and the PTF are the ones going to provide everything required for that.
Are you saying that the about 8,000 athletes that are coming to Benin will undergo that RDT
Yes,
test?
they will have RDT tests within 24 hours of their arrival in Benin.
You have the manpower too.
Fortunately, the PTF and the NCDC are providing all that is required for that. Training of the personnel that will be used will commence, I think, a few days, about a week. There's already a timetable in place for the training of the personnel, bringing them in, how many stations are going to be set up, where the stations are going to be set up for the RDT tests. So that is something that is also important in ensuring that the athletes operate in a safe environment.
Okay. Now, you understand that this program is being streamed live on the governor's page. Now, let me just take one or two comments. This one is coming from IK or Samede. It says, EDO has gotten it right with Governor Godwin Obaseki. The National Sports Festival being held in Edo State is to tell you that he means well for Edo youths. I can't wait for the sports festival to commence. Thank you very much, IK Osamede. This one is coming from Ubiaja Uhe. Probably he saw your name on the loyalty and it says, this man, is he a Nigerian? Please, could you just tell them?
That's very interesting. Yes, I am a Nigerian. I'm actually from Ogun State. But I have yes, okay. And I have some Ghanaian connection. That's why the Kweku and the Tando. But I'm actually from Ogun State.
Who is from Ogun State? Your mom or your dad?
Half of my dad and my mom.
Oh.
And my dad is actually half Ghanaian, half Ogun State, and my mom is from Ogun State.
Okay, I hope you have heard that. Please do not let us dabble into complexity. Okay, now, Dr. Tando, what other health measures have been taken to ensure that the festival is compliant with the COVID-19 protocol?
Yes, like I mentioned, we have put in place the COVID-19 protocols, the other health measures. A medical team has been set up. We have a medical project team headed by Professor Darlington Obaseki, the CMD of University of Benin Teaching Hospital. We have Dr. Andrew Obi, the incident manager on COVID-19 response for the state, and a few others on that team. So we are more or less just ramping up the state COVID-19 response and bringing the festival to come into it. In this vein, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. Everything that has been in place will continue to go on. Apart from health, we also need to know that because we are having the University of Benin as the Games Village, it makes it easy to ensure that we focus our logistics in terms of not just health, but also other aspects of the festival as well in one place. And that's why when we did not have Uniben earlier on, when we were looking at some various other dates, it was going to make it difficult putting athletes in 8 or 10 different locations. But now that almost 90% of the athletes will be at Ugbowo, the remaining 10% will be at Ekenwa campus of the same Uniben, it makes logistics easier, both for the COVID response, for other health measures that we've put in place, and for the Games Village and accommodation activities for the festival.
In case of injuries, which health institutions have been penned down to handle health emergencies?
The medical project team have listed quite a number of hospitals that they're working with. I know Stella Obasanjo Hospital is there, the Edo Specialist Hospital, University of Benin Teaching Hospital itself, Lily Hospital, and a few others have been listed as emergency referral hospitals, should in case the medical facilities that have been set up in the Games Village, in Samuel Ogbomedia Stadium, are not able to handle those cases. But we shouldn't also forget that in the Games Village and in the stadium, we're having large polyclinics. And in those polyclinics, you're going to have quite a number of specialists operating there. So it will probably be in the most severe of cases that you will have to take the athletes out of either the Games Village or the Samuel Ogbomedia Stadium, because the polyclinics are being set up and equipped to operate as medical clinics right at the base where we're going to have the athletes.
Now, from your experience, you have taken part in both local, state, national, and of course international sporting events. What would you say is missing from this, or missing in this Edo 2020? If anything is missing, then what is the link?
Well, if I'm to look at, because I actually happen to have been the Secretary General for the LOC for ECO 2012, the 18th National Sports Festival in Lagos, and I was the Secretary General then. If I look at that, I think what we will miss is what has been brought about by the limitations placed on the games because of the COVID-19 pandemic. I know when we were working on the festival last year, all the activities that had been planned to engage and involve the entire state populace can no longer be done the way we had planned to do it because of the COVID response. So in difference to that, it is now up to us to ensure that we have a media event that would be shown to the rest of the state and to the rest of the country, either through live streaming, media broadcasts, and this kind of activities.
We'll be here every day.
Yes. So the one-on-one participation of the host state community may be missing because of the COVID-19 response, but we will try and make up for that in developing good enough content for those who are not able to physically be present to watch and observe and enjoy the spectacle through the various media platforms.
So media is the link.
Media is the link that we would need to engage in to ensure we don't lose the visibility of the Edo 2020 National Sports Festival.
All right, talking about people coming into Edo State, a lot of people are still concerned because Ubiajao is asking, says, Doctor, how do we ensure the safety of people of Edo with these over 8,000 athletes and coaches you are bringing from across the nation?
Yes, it's a good question, but looking at it from the medical perspective, for me, it will have been, how do I ensure that the athletes coming in are safe from the populace? But that has been answered in two ways, and I'll say that. Number one, because we know that the athletes are not coming in without having done a PCR, so we know their status.
Even when they do,
we know what to do in terms of isolation and even treatment, because Edo State has excellent treatment facilities for COVID-19 response, so that we have. We also know that in the state, there is already a campaign for containment of the COVID pandemic through various interventions, the medical intervention, risk communication, and now vaccination. So the 8,000 people coming in, I would not see them as a risk to the rest of the state, because protocols are already in place to ensure that as they come in, they are safe, and they are also protected from anyone that may or may not be safe from the virus. So I don't envisage a problem with that.
Ubiaja Ohe, I'm sure you have heard that, so we'll take a short break now. We'll come back. We'll be taking the last part of the program. Stay with us.
Thank you.
You are welcome. National Sports Festival. EDO 2020.
Here comes the sports extravaganza you have been waiting for. The 20th edition of the National Sports Festival. This is going to be the thrill of the decade, as hundreds of youths across the 35 states in Nigeria, including the FCT, converge on the ancient city of Benin to showcase their talents in the various sporting events: athletics, football, volleyball, basketball, swimming, wrestling, boxing, hockey, cycling, golf, weightlifting, and many more. Date 2nd April to 14th April 2021.
You're welcome back. Now, Doctor, you want to speak briefly on the sports facilities that we have on ground?
Yes, in this festival we're going to be having 39 sports, and each of those sports have venues and facilities that are ready. Like I said earlier, the Samuel Ogumilya Stadium would probably be having about 18 or 19 sports taking place there. Indoor and outdoor, yes. We have the gymnasium indoor hall at Etete, where you're going to be having badminton, table tennis, and para table tennis taking place. We have at Wire Road, we have just by, I think, Emuton College, we have basketball and volleyball that will be taking place there. In Uniben, in the sports center, we have handball, we have abula, we have karate, kung fu taking place in the hall there. So all those venues have been rejuvenated by the state government. They are all in excellent condition, and we're just putting finishing touches to many of them. A lot of athletes are going to come into Benin and see facilities that they have not seen anywhere else in the country in terms of the standard and the quality of this equipment. We have a brand new gymnastics hall, the first of its kind, a dedicated gymnastics hall for gymnastics event itself, and that already is in place. A brand new swimming pool, 50-meter swimming pool, and various other things that I will not want to reveal until the athletes come, so we can catch them by surprise.
Seeing is believing.
Seeing is believing.
All right, so what else do you have to say to the athletes and, of course, the officials?
Yes, what we will just say to the athletes and officials, Edo State is ready to receive you for the 20th National Sports Festival, but please help us and play your part. Get your vaccination done before you leave your state. Do your PCR test 72 hours before you leave your state, and we can assure you that when you get to Benin, the reception will be worth your while, and you will have a very exciting 14 days in Edo State.
After all, we're the heartbeat of the nation.
I agree with that.
All right, we'll just take one comment. This is coming from William Obaze. He says, I cannot begin to say the good things you have been doing for Edo people. I will only pray for you to become a president of Nigeria one day. I guess he's referring to
Governor Godwin Obaseki.
Thank you, Obaze, and we would like to say a big thank you to Dr. Kweku Adedayo Tando for coming on the program. I believe that we're still going to bring you on again before the closing of the event. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much, Abiba. It's been my pleasure to be here.
All right. He has said that media is the link to be part of EDO 2020. So, we'll be happy if you stay tuned to our live studio daily, where we shall be bringing you interviews, highlights, and of course lots more, so that we can keep you abreast of all the happenings while we count down to EDO 2020. On behalf of the producer and of course everybody that has worked behind the scene to ensure that we had a robust program, I say thank you for watching. My name is Habiba Oyege Oyarekwa. Good evening.
You are welcome, National Sports Festival. EDO 2020.
Here comes the sports extravaganza you have been waiting for. The 20th edition of the National Sports Festival. This is going to be the thrill of the decade, as hundreds of youths across the 35 states in Nigeria, including the FCT, converge on the ancient city of Benin to showcase their talents in the various sporting events: athletics, football, volleyball, basketball, swimming, wrestling, boxing, hockey, cycling, golf, weightlifting, and many more. Date 2nd April to 14th April 2021. President Muhammadu Buhari will virtually declare the sports fiesta open on April 6, 2021. Main venue is the Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium, Benin City. Events will also hold at other centers across the state. Spectators and officials are expected to comply with the COVID-19 protocols. Edo State is ready to be a good host. Be part of this historic event. Signed, Media and Communications Subcommittee.
The ancient city is calling. Oh, arise, sons and daughters of the land. The king of the city is marching. Stand up high to the pride of the land. The founding fathers have labored, and our time to serve is now. The glory of the new Edo nation will forever be our pride. Beautiful Edo, glorious Edo, you're the heartbeat of Nigeria. Beautiful Edo, glorious Edo, stars are singing over you. You're the land people dream to be. Our treasures are found in all nations, and our greatness is second to none. Our history forever shall be written, how our kings have endured all times. Our people cultured in unity, our hearts beat for the land. Rich culture, stories of heroes, legacies forever be. Beautiful Edo, glorious Edo, you're the heartbeat of Nigeria. Beautiful Edo, glorious Edo, stars are singing over you. You're the land people dream to be. Unite and stand with each other, forgive and let it go. Together we can stand, come what may, and the future lies in us. Teach our children to teach their children what our fathers taught. To fear and love the Creator, only then shall we succeed. Beautiful Edo, glorious Edo, you're the heartbeat of Nigeria. Beautiful Edo, glorious Edo, stars are singing over you. You're the land people dream to be.
You are welcome, National Sports Festival. EDO 2020.
Here comes the sports extravaganza you have been waiting for. The 20th edition of the National Sports Festival. This is going to be the thrill of the decade as hundreds of youths across the 35 states in Nigeria, including the FCT, converge on the ancient city of Benin to showcase their talents in the various sporting events: athletics, football, volleyball, basketball, swimming, wrestling, boxing, hockey, cycling, golf, weightlifting, and many more. Date 2nd April to 14th April 2021. President Muhammadu Buhari will virtually declare the Sports Fiesta open on April 6, 2021. Main venue is the Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium, Benin City. Events will also hold at other centers across the state. Spectators and officials are expected to comply with the COVID-19 protocols. Edo State is ready to be a good host. Be part of this historic event.